Okay, so we are rebuilding the driver's side window switch assembly for my 89 MR2. This has got the power door locks, window locks, driver and passenger side window switches. The driver's side is known to go out and have issues, and the full assembly on eBay is about 150 bucks to buy a used one. And there's no telling how long that one will last, but I think I figured out exactly what's going on with these switches. However, I had a little bit of a mishap here. This is the actual, I call it a little switch nub. There's 3 of them inside of the driver's side switch that go down, and there is a small spring, try not to drop this stuff while I'm filming, that essentially goes inside of this little nub. And that is kind of what applies the spring pressure to these little levers here. Now these levers are what kind of rock back and forth, and their home position is in the center. So these little nubs are in charge of, basically, when you move the switch, pushing this little lever, riding up the ramp with that little copper lever, and essentially rocking it this way and that way. So what I found is these little factory plastics here, probably some really old, brittle, 36-year-old ABS or something like that. They seem like they're swelling or getting out of round a little bit, and they get kind of stuck in this little port, these little ports here. And they don't want to slide. So what happens is it's stuck inside of there, and it's not sticking out with the spring and kind of pushing this little lever here, this way or that way. So if they're stuck up, they're not making contact with it, you're moving the switch, it's not doing anything. When you feel your switch starting to get kind of floppy and there's no like real resistance in it, it's because these little guys are getting bound up inside of there. So now they're moving freely. They're not really hanging up anymore. I put a little bit of super lube on there, which is dielectric grease. What I did is I took these little guys and some sandpaper and just kind of, twisted them. I was holding the ends of these with some needle nose, and you can do that. It's a little bit more dense on the ends. And I was just grabbing and twisting, and I cracked one. Cracked this one here. And I instantly panicked because I'm like, that is a tiny piece of plastic. What am I going to do? I don't even know if my 3D printer can make it. Turns out it can. So what I did is I folded my printer. It's got a 0.6 nozzle. Told it was using a 0.4 nozzle, and printed it out on a very fine setting with PETG, because it's going to be in the door, it's going to be inside. I didn't want to use PLA because it could potentially get hot. And right now I'm just going to go around and just kind of clean this thing up. I've already test fit it. It fits in the bore, nice. Spring fits inside of it. Length is pretty much appropriate. I did change a little bit of it. Instead of it being like this one here, where it's got like a gradual little nipple on it, this one, or like a more abrupt nipple on the white one, this one's a little bit more gradual. I think it's going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure the end of that is cleaned up, but if you need this file, I'll put a link in my description. You guys can download that. It's going to need to be printed with a 0.4 settings at the very least. 0.4 nozzle would be preferred. And yeah, print it slow, have some cooling, leave the door open. If you have like a Bamboo Lab printer, leave the door open because it's a small part. It's going to be pretty liquidy by the time it's done. And cut your speeds in half. Cut your print speeds in half. So this is just black PETG. It's not as hard and slippery as this plastic. I think it'll be fine with a little bit of lubricant. Any means, it'll be better than what I currently have, which is a broken piece of plastic, and what I had before, which is an inoperative window, partially inoperative. And I've only been in a situation where the window didn't roll up. Luckily, I was able to get it up with a little bit of finagling. But let's get this all reassembled. You're gonna need some tweezers. You're gonna need a little bit of dielectric grease or some dielectric grease. That's super lube. I'm just using that because it's a little bit easier with it being in the tube. What I've been doing with these springs is giving them a little pull. That way they have a little bit more spring rate when I go and install them. Make it a lot more springy, if you will. Checking the fit of this new one. It's a little tight. I've just been taking and sanding this guy a little bit. It's most likely just this ridge. This thing's really hard to hold on to. There you go. That's way better. Get that little knot off the point off the end of that. My needle nose or something without it flying somewhere. It's definitely gonna fly somewhere. Come fly with me. There it goes. All right, do you guys see it? All right, guys, so pretty major discovery here. This guy originally had a crack running the length of it. So when you go to, you know, roll your window up or down with just the standard switch, it would spread open and not move the little nub up and down. So after I got everything back together, after cleaning and sanding, going through the trouble of 3D printing this guy, I realized that. So what I did is I took a piece of PTFE tube from the 3D printer, and it fit perfectly in the bore of that. So there was like a little slot there between, like a little box cut out between that hole where the shaft goes through and the end of this, obviously. So I trimmed out a section of those cracked pieces so that I could push in some ASA filament, and I basically just plastic welded it back together, got it nice and hot, about 500 degrees, 520 give or take with the soldering iron, and just kind of mashed it out, and it fits in there nice and it feels nice and strong. So that should get me by for a while until it breaks again, and then I can actually draw it once I find my calipers, because I can't find my digital calipers tonight. I don't know where they went. They just disappeared. I'm gonna get this thing back together and roll my window back up. But those are the two things to look out for: the binding of the little nubs. And if you need a nub, if you break one or whatever, you can 3D print them. I have that file available. I'm gonna change some of the tolerances. I'll put that on printables. So everything is sliding freely. That PTFE tube down the center of that, when plastic welding it, is the ticket. And then fill those gaps in on the sides. That'll give it a lot more strength. So that's what I did. I just used ASA filament. If you got ABS, it's fine. That's pretty much what this plastic is ABS, most likely. It stuck good, adhered good, so I know it's not like polypropylene or anything like that. As far as I can tell, most interior plastics are ABS or some form of that. Yeah, so if you have just a switch that doesn't want to center and isn't rolling your window up or down, and you end up like with a window stuck down, there's a pretty good chance that that center little finger that's moving right there is split. So you'll need to repair that, or either print another one once that becomes available. But these are rebuildable. If you guys have any that you need rebuilt, hit me up. Maybe we can work something out. Oh my God, dude, look at that. That's beautiful. So much better. It works. Let's go plug it up, see if it actually rolls the window up and down. Feels like brand new. Thanks for watching.